Is Emma Schneider, and I'm going to be investigating some data that has to do with the state of education in 2015. So I'm going to start by just titling this document The State of U.S. Education in 2015. So now I'm just going to read the assignment description really quick. Let's see. So we have some data in CODAP, and the assignment says that the South and West seem like a great place to live because of the nice weather, but how do the regions compare in things like average teacher salaries or student per teacher ratio? When exploring this data set, take advantage of the map in CODAP. That is this right here. I haven't seen that feature before, so that'll be cool. And then the first question is, based on the average teacher salaries for states in the South and the West, where would you prefer to teach and why? And then explore other quantitative attributes in this data set and compare the distributions for the South and West based on the data you have examined. In which region do states seem to have good teaching conditions in their schools? And then the standards that I think that this task could address, I went with the idea that this would be taught in a Math 1 class, so I chose 3 standards that I thought that this task would hit for Math 1. So the first one is use statistics appropriate to the shape of the data distribution to compare center, median, mean, and spread, interquartile range, standard deviation of 2 or more different data sets, interpret differences in shape, center, and spread in the context of the data sets. And then the next one is examine the effects of extreme data points, outliers on shape, center, and or spread. And then the final one is represent data on 2 quantitative variables on a scatter plot and describe how the variables are related. So we are going to jump right into the task. And the first thing that I want to do is just kind of explore these different attributes here. So this data set is based on the 50 states plus the District of Columbia. So here we have the states, they're in alphabetical order. Here we have the census region. So this is going to tell us whether or not it's a southern state, a western state, a northeastern state, or a midwestern state. And then if we want to get more specific, we have this right here. This is the census division. So it identifies the division of the United States in which the state is located. Here we have the expenditure per student. This is the average amount of money spent per student. And again, this is referring to the year 2015. Here we have average teacher salary for that year. Here we have the number of teachers in the state, the number of high school graduates from 2015, the revenue per student is listed here, and then the number of students per one teacher is listed here. So to tackle our first question, which is to compare the average salaries in the South and the West, I'm going to add a new graph. And I want to be able to look at the South and the West side by side, and also to look at their like measures of center side by side. So I'm going to put them in 2 separate graphs like this. So I'm going to drag average salary to the x-axis on both graphs. And then I'm going to color code by census region by dragging census region to the middle of both graphs. So I have the exact same thing going on in both of these. There we go. And now I just want to look at the South on one graph. So I'm going to select all of the southern states and then hide the unselected cases. And over here, I'm going to do the same thing, but for the West. So the first thing that I notice when I'm looking at this is that it looks like there's more of a bell curve here than there is over here. So there's certainly outliers, but this is definitely more of a curved shape than this one, which is more of like just a random scattering around here. So the variation is different. And I also noticed that there are some major outliers on the graph for the southern states. So I'm going to show the mean, but I'm also going to show the median because the median is resistant to outliers, so that'll give me a better idea for what the average salary truly is in the southern states. So I'm going to measure mean, median. And also over here, I'm going to do mean, median. So the median, we can see how the mean has definitely been pulled further to the right because of these three states. The median in the South for teacher salary in 2015 was $48,720. And in the West, it was $52,969. And if you'll see here, the mean and the median are much closer in the Western states because there are fewer outliers here. So based solely on salary alone, I guess I would prefer to work in the West because they do make a few thousand more dollars per year. But I grew up in the South. I'm bound to want to teach there. So there is that. And then the next thing that I want to do is, first of all, I thought this was interesting. You can highlight these points here, and you can see that they light up on the map. So these three regions, or these three states where the teachers are making a lot more money in the South, are actually Delaware, Maryland, and the District of Columbia, which I personally didn't even necessarily think of as southern states. So that's interesting how that played out. Whereas like Texas, Arkansas, West Virginia, these, like Tennessee, North Carolina, like all of these states, I definitely think of as much more southern. So now I am gonna look at both regions and figure out like which one I think has better working conditions. So I'm gonna look at the students per teacher in each state, or in each region, simply because I tend to think that like when you have smaller class sizes, you're usually like it's just easier to teach with smaller class sizes. So it looks like you would have about 2 fewer students in the South, but this is so small, like 17 students versus 15 students per teacher, that I feel like compared to like the difference in the salary, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Like it's worth getting paid more in the West to have 2 more students than you might have in the South. And then I also want to look at the number of high school grads. And I want to look at that because I tend to think that like if a lot of people are graduating high school, then probably the teachers enjoy what they're doing and they're doing a good job teaching. But I have a problem with the number of high school grads as an attribute, because we don't really know like how many students are in each state. So like take California, for example, they have 440,000 some graduates, but they're also a massive state. So I think what I would prefer to see to make a conclusion like about teaching conditions, I would rather see like the percentage of high school students that are graduating. But overall, I don't see like significant differences to the point where I would be compelled to work in one place over the other. I am still excited about teaching in North Carolina, even though I might get paid a little bit more if I taught somewhere in the West. But yeah, that is the task. Thank you.